Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about actionable, realistic, and free ways that you can start building your confidence and stepping into your dream life. I feel inclined to kind of give a little bit of a backstory just so we can connect on a deeper level and so you kind of realize like how I got to this point. But I spent a lot of my young adulthood, I'm almost 27, so I would say from 20 to 25, I was a very, very, very insecure person. I dealt with a lot of trust issues. I do deal with an absent parent, deal with a parent who has addiction issues, and I do think that that stems towards a lot of the things that I've dealt with in my life. And I have been through the ringer of emotions when it comes to low confidence and low self-worth. I have ruined relationships over it. I have seen the bottom of it all, and I know what it feels like to not believe in myself, to feel like I'm not good enough for anything, and to have that affect all of my relationships. And so if there's anybody that you can take advice from, I promise you it's me, because I have been through it all. So we had our toxic days, we had our crazy days, and I'm thankful to say that like I feel so confident in my skin, and I feel proud of who I am, and I feel thankful that I'm at this place in my life, and I feel really excited and grateful that I can now share what I've been through and help someone out there. So that's my little rant, but now let's turn it on to you and start talking about ways that you can start working through your confidence. So I have about 10 tips overall, and the first tip is that I want you to ask yourself, what does confidence mean to you? Because we all have different versions of confidence. When we all think of confidence, we all think of something different. For me, confidence is not physical. It's not if I look a certain way, then I'm confident. If I dress a certain way, then I'm confident. To me, confidence comes from within. It's like this fire inside of you that needs to be ignited. Naturally, when that fire starts inside of you, you're going to feel confident in your own skin, and that is going to like relay into physical aspects. But I do encourage you to not try and build your confidence just around looks. It's deeper than that, and you know it's deeper than that, and this is going to help those outer physical things that we worry about. But I do want you to ask yourself, like, what does confidence mean to me? Because that's going to be the first step. You have to figure out what confidence means to you. One way that you can really start doing that is to imagine what it would feel like to be a confident person. Literally close your eyes and imagine, how would I feel to be confident? When you connect something to a feeling is when you really start making change in your life. Daydreaming about it. Start making up a movie in your head. How would you show up? What would you do in the mornings? What would you do when you get off work? How would you treat other people? How would you treat yourself? Like, start role playing in your head and imagine you being a confident person. And the more and more and more and more and more you do that, the more familiar that feeling is going to be throughout. That is tip number one. Tip number two is to allow your pain to inspire you. And this is so important because I went so far down where I was like, okay, my relationships are failing. I feel like I hate myself. I'm not happy. I feel I have no purpose. I had to come to the conclusion, like, who's the common denominator here? Is it everyone else in my life, or is it me? And it obviously was me. And so I had to use that pain, that sadness, that feeling unworthy to fuel me to take the next step into my healing journey. So if you're at a place where you're in the gutter and you're feeling like there's no way out, there definitely is. Use that pain to keep you going. Use that pain to be your adrenaline to like get yourself out of this situation, because you 100% can. And I feel stronger because I created purpose through my pain, and that makes me feel good today. It makes me feel good today that I went through so much pain in my life. So now that I can sit here and help you with this, like, it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like I have a purpose. And maybe 4 years ago, I wouldn't have known that, but I do now. And so use your pain to fuel you. All right, my next tip is to take ownership for your shadows. And if you don't know what a shadow is, it's basically the parts of you that you don't feel show up your best. It's the parts of you that are jealous. It's the parts of you that are insecure. It's the parts of you that can be mean. It's the parts of you that just don't show up your best. That is your shadow. And one way you can work on that is writing every shadow down. There was a phase ways where I did this. And it's hard at first because you're like, oh, well, I only do that when this person rubs me the wrong way. But you got to do it, and you got to go through the process. And like anything that you might think of that is not your best self, write it down, because that's a shadow. And the more that you become familiar with your shadows, the more that you're going to acknowledge what gets me to that point, what ignites that fire to where I start acting like that person that I don't want to be. But being familiar with the parts of you that you don't like is the only way you're going to make change. The first step to change is admitting you have a problem in the first place. So if you are there, that is a really big step, and I think it's one of the most important steps. So acknowledge the things that you don't like about yourself, and don't beat yourself up, because we all have shadows. There's not one person on this earth that does not have shadows. So don't feel bad about it. All right, so tip number 4 is to get clear on who you are. If you don't even know who you are, there's no way you're going to be able to be confident, because you don't know who you are as a person. And it's easy to kind of fall into a trap of like what society might make you feel like you are, you know, whether you go to school, to college, and you major in something, and then you go and pursue that 10 years down the road, and then you start realizing like that was never me. Or if you feel like you gravitated towards certain kinds of people in your life, and then you started realizing like those people aren't me and I don't feel like myself around them, you're going to struggle being confident because you're not being you. So another way that you can do is you can start writing down what makes you unique. What are the things that you feel is different than everybody else? Or what are the things that you're proud of about yourself? What makes you feel happy to be you? Write those things down, because those are going to be things that you start feeling confident about and you start loving yourself for. There was a period in my life where I feel like I was dressing to satisfy like people in my life, and it made me feel low about myself. I couldn't show up confident, and I just didn't feel like myself. And style is even so important, because that's how you express yourself, and that's how you show up to the world, and you're letting the world know who you are just by clothes on your back. And I do think it has a lot to say about your confidence, and I do think it can help your confidence, but I don't think it's like everything, you know what I mean? It's such a teeny part of confidence, but it does make a difference, because like we've talked about, confidence is just about being proud to be you. And if you want to be proud to be you, you got to show up like yourself. That does come in with some dressing like yourself, being you. And if you struggle feeling like I don't know who I am, go on Pinterest, look at mood boards, see where you naturally feel like your energy gravitates to. Does it gravitate towards these colors? Does it gravitate towards this style, towards these people, towards this vibe, towards this music, towards this energy? You'll get that feeling of where you feel comfortable, where you feel at home, and where you just don't feel like you fit in. Sit with that. That's really important. All right, so my 5th tip is to start setting boundaries with people who dim your light. This is something that I had to do, and as someone, like, I'm definitely an empath, and as someone who is an empath, this was very hard for me, because I would rather protect someone else's emotions and make sure they're okay before making sure I'm okay. And if you're an empath, you get it, you understand, but you have to set boundaries. I had to start setting boundaries with someone in my life that I felt was causing me to feel bad about myself, and who was causing my mental health to go downhill. And setting boundaries is not selfish. Setting boundaries teaches people how to treat you. You have to set boundaries in your life with people that don't respect you as a person, or that are just genuinely dealing with something and going through their own trauma and their own pain. Hurt people, but those hurt people can't hurt you. You have to set those boundaries, and you have to put yourself first. All right, so my 6th tip is to create a mindfulness routine that suits you. Everybody in the world has their own form of a mindfulness routine. Some people do a really deep meditation with journaling, reading, yoga, moving their body, eating healthy. All of that is part of their mindfulness routine, and some people have different forms of it. And everything is okay. Every form is valid. But creating a mindfulness routine that suits you, that's going to be how you recenter yourself, and how you protect your energy, and how you navigate the things in your life that you're going through. And it's going to end up being something that's really personal to you. Your mindfulness routine should be personal to you. Whatever that is, try and figure it out. Try and think about, again, where your energy naturally gravitates, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel inspired, and go all in on that. All right, so the 7th tip is to focus on something that you're passionate about. This is something that I am so passionate about talking about, because had I not focused on something that I was passionate about, which is shuffling, I wouldn't be here right now. Like, straight up, I would probably still be super toxic and going through the things if I did not get give my love to that, because I'm telling you, I gave so much love to shuffling and it gave me the world back. Like it made me realize who I was. It made me feel like I had a voice. It made me feel like I believed in myself and people started believing in me, and it did wonders for me. When I started becoming good at something too, that naturally raised my confidence, and it made me feel like if I can work towards something and get good at it and be confident, I can do that in any other aspect of my life. So passions are a great way to kind of jumpstart it a little bit and kind of like inch into it a little bit more softly, because you kind of become familiar with how it feels to work for something and to have trial and error and go through a phase where you're just not that good at it, and then see the results months, years, days later, whatever it is. It's the same thing with working on your confidence. At first, you might be really insecure, you might have super low self-esteem, but the more you work through it and the more that you focus on yourself, you're gonna look back a year from now and be like, oh my gosh, I've made so much growth. So it's kind of in like a parallel situation with passions, and I just think it's a really good form and a really good way to connect the two and to really drive your confidence up the wall. So, all right, my next tip is to have more alone time. Guys, we live in a world where it's go, 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 go. You are constantly keeping up to date with like people in your life, and like we're just constantly absorbing other people's energy that we don't ever sit and take time to ourselves. And that's really important, because it kind of stems from the fact if you don't know what it feels like to be on your own, you're going to start forming these codependency issues where in order for you to be happy, you need to be around this person, or in order to be happy, you need to be on social media to see what other people are doing or do whatever. You get the point. The more that we can like sit by ourselves and just sit in silence and like not having information coming in, the more that we're gonna feel safe with who we are, because we're comfortable sitting alone in a room with no one else, no other energies, just ourselves. And that is going to like blossom into something really great for you. So focus on some alone time. All right, my next tip is to be compassionate with yourself and with others, because at the end of the day, you're human, and the person that hurt you is human, and the person that hurt that person is human, and so on and so on and so on. We're all human, and we all have our own traumas. We all have our own pain, and that trauma and that pain causes pain on other people. And the second that you can start forgiving the person that hurt you, or the people that hurt you, or the trauma that hurt you, in my opinion, that is really where you've awakened. And the second that I forgave the things that happened to me, the second that I stopped playing victim, and the second that I understood that hurt people was when I made the biggest transformation of my life, because I realized this is life, and it's not about what happens to you. It's about what you do with that pain and how you put that pain and transfer it into good into the world. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But I think this one is a really powerful one, to be compassionate with yourself and with other people. All right, my last tip is that you become confident by doing. It's just like a muscle. You work towards it and you might find growth, and then later you might feel like, oh, I feel a little weak. I feel like my progress went down a little bit, but that's okay, because you can keep building your muscle. But in order to build a muscle, you have to take care of your body. In order for your muscles to grow, you have to eat right. You have to take breaks. You have to warm up, cool down. There's things that you have to do. It's the same thing with confidence. It's gonna ebb and flow. There's gonna be days where you're really confident. There's gonna be days that you're not. And if you're a female, especially, it's natural for your energy to be really high, and there's some days in your cycle where your energy is going to be low, and some days that just might play a role in your confidence, and some days it might not, and that's okay. But acknowledging that is like a really big step, and if you are able to think like that, trust me, you've grown. Don't let that get to you if your confidence is ebbing and flowing. I don't believe that healing is like an end point. I don't think that you just get to the stopping point where you've finished the race and it's like over. Like, I think healing is just, it's constant. With that in mind, you need to understand that there's going to be days that it's easier and there's going to be days that it's harder. But continuing to use the tips that I've given you and to continue sort of reflecting on, okay, today I felt really bad. What have I consumed? What have I not consumed? Who have I been around? What kind of energy was I around? What did I eat today? What did I not eat today? Start investigating your energy and start trying to understand what got you to this point. Allow yourself to ebb and flow, but get back on track. As long as you're in control, that's all that matters. So I hope that some of these tips helped, and I hope that you took something from this video. I enjoyed getting to chat with you for a little bit. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, because it helps me know what you guys like and what you guys don't. So yeah, I will see you all in the next video, and I love you guys. Bye.